Okay, we are live. Let me go ahead and get the chat pulled up here. It is Tuesday night, and by the title, you're probably wondering if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Exactly. So that's what this video is going to be about. Hoping that others can learn from my mistakes, which we all make. Last time I checked. All right, let me get the chat pulled up here. Get this all pulled up. Hey, what's going on, Undercut FPV? Welcome in the room. Just getting the chat pulled up here so I can be a little bit more interactive. What's going on, Adam? Plummet, what's up? Yeah, as you can tell from the description or the title of this video, if it ain't broke, ... don't fix it, right? And this is one of those life lessons that, thanks for the thumbs up, guys. Hey, exactly, don't fix it. This is one of those life lessons that I wanted to go ahead and share with you guys. Uh-oh, my app crashed here on the tablet. What's going on, Squish? Holy Squish. The Flow Rider, Easy Flow. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with my tablet, man. It just like crashed. I haven't pulled it up in a while. Anyway, I'll try to keep up on the screen. So by the title, it says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm hoping that with this video, if there is anybody that's running the same problem that I am, which there's probably not many people left that are utilizing Windows 32-bit, but if you are, this video is going to be for you. So a lot of smaller PCs, little tablets, you know, real cheap computers, a lot of them run the Windows 32-bit. And it works, you know, for just about everything. However, that all is about to change for TBS. TBS, Team Black Sheep, their configurator for their modules, for their crossfires, do not support Windows 32-bit anymore. So I'm going to tell you exactly what happened to me, and hopefully this will prevent someone from not happening to them. So that's the purpose of me putting this video out. So getting the chat back here. Welcome everybody in the room. Let me go ahead and get through. Yeah, this tablet is really acting up. You know, I might have to slap it up a little bit. What's going on? Baduga, Undercut FPV, Josh Withrow, John Vampire. Man, we got a nice little crowd in here tonight, man. What's going on, everybody? So, let me tell you exactly what happened, since we got a decent amount of people in the room right now. Don't forget to smash that like button on the way in. Hulk smash it if you could. And I'm going to tell you exactly what happened to me. So hopefully this does not happen to you or anybody else, and you can spread the word. So, Team Black Sheep, Crossfire, love it. It's been working for me flawlessly. Have not had it. It just crashed again. Whatever. You thought this was a regular video? Well, that's cool, man. At least the quality looks decent, hopefully, and the audio sounds okay. You'll probably hear my heat kicking on, you know, in and out. Anyway, so Team Black Sheep. All right, so I've got the Crossfire Micro here, and I love it. It's been working for me perfectly, no issues whatsoever. I downloaded the TBS Agent X on this little Dobo, little double power, $99 cheap little 2-in-1 tablet here, okay, which runs Windows 10, but a 32-bit version. Hey, what's going on? I need to jump on that Crossfire. Yes, you do. Oh, it is amazing. I didn't realize how amazing it was until I couldn't use it, and now I'm going back to FR Sky because that's all I have. We'll get into that. I'm jumping ahead of myself. All right, so back to the story. So I've got this, you know, little $99 little double power little 2-in-1 little notebook that runs Windows 10 with a 32-bit version of Windows. No issues. I downloaded the TBS Agent X application, no problem. I was able to go ahead and update the firmware at the time on my module here. No issues. I've been running Crossfire ever since. have not had any issues whatsoever. So this tiny little computer only has 32 gigs of storage, which is not a lot. It's not. So it started to get full. So I decided, you know what? Let me just go ahead and update this Micro TX to the newest version of Crossfire. Let me update my goggles and a couple other things. And I'm just going to delete those little configurators off of my computer to save space, right? I mean, why not? It's a good idea. If I'm running the newest firmware, what do I need the configurators for, right? So I'm like, all right, perfect. So I went ahead and went on Agent X. The application pulled right up like it normally did. I was able to connect to it with the micro USB. I flashed the newest version of firmware on this module. And then as soon as it got done, it said download new TBS Agent X configurator. I'm like, yeah, sure. You know, go ahead, give me the newest configurator, and then I'll just delete it anyway. It says unable to download newest configurator. Windows 64-bit required. So no longer is TBS Agent X, from what I can find, supporting 32-bit Windows anymore. Well, that wouldn't have been an issue, okay, if my TX would talk to my receivers. But the TX is not talking to any of my Crossfire receivers now. Yeah, you could have removed the apps. Well, there you go. See? Well, I wasn't thinking about it like that. I was thinking, let me just go ahead and update the firmware, and then I'll just delete them, or delete the configurators, just to save space. But whatever little bit of space I might have saved by doing this was not worth the hassle that I'm having to deal with now. So now I've got this Micro TX that has the newest version of firmware. Somehow there's some kind of a bug that was in that firmware. It's not compatible with my radio firmware. I don't know, but it's not communicating with any of my Crossfire receivers. Now I've tried everything. I have tried, pushing down and holding on the bind button on the receiver. That doesn't work. I've tried, trying to locate it on the screen here. And what happens is it'll pop up. I might even show you guys live, actually. Hey, what's going on? Ed, what's going on? Yeah, man, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Exactly. I wish I never updated the firmware on this. I would be having all my quads flying right now if I didn't. So I want to make sure this doesn't happen to anybody else. So like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I won't be doing any more firmware updates unless I'm having an issue or there's some kind of a feature that I really, really want. What's going on, Ryan? So I pulled up this display, okay? And when I go to find my receivers, it will pop up for about a half of a second. It'll pop up. You'll see like where the receiver, and you can like hit update. Before I can even push the update button, it's gone. It just disappears in a flash. So I'm not able to update any of the receivers. It won't communicate with my transmitter. I've tried everything, guys. I've tried everything I can think of. It's a bug in this firmware. It's not working. So I thought, okay, no big deal. I'll just go back 2 versions of the firmware to what I had before, and then they should be talking just fine. Well, I can't do that either, because if you don't know this already, Team Blacksheep, TBS, they run what's called auto updates. So they automatically update their configurators, all their firmware automatically. So when I try to go back in firmware, it will not let me because it's constantly trying to push the new update. Oh, we have a new configurator update. I've hit no, I've hit yes, I've hit every option you can think of to try to get this to work, and it just won't work. So what I ended up doing to fix this problem is I got a new laptop. Obviously, I have no other option at this point. My 32-bit version of Windows isn't supported anymore by Team Blacksheep. So I went ahead and got me a decent Dell laptop that's going to run 64-bit Windows. Yes, I'm going to finally get with the times here, have a decent laptop that's got 1 terabyte of storage versus 32 gigs of this little guy. And look, guys, this thing's $99, okay? And what I got this for, it works great for. I got this for basically just for running Betaflight. This is just for Betaflight, and then I started getting more configurators and more configurators, and I'm like, man, I gotta have a configurator for my goggle receiver. I gotta have a configurator for my Crossfire. I gotta have my Betaflight. I gotta have my BL Heli for my ESCs. And by the time I got done, I'm like, I got all these configurators on this little $99 32 gig little notebook, okay, and it's full. And now TBS doesn't support 32-bit Windows anymore. So if you are running 32-bit Windows and you're thinking about possibly updating your firmware on your Crossfire, you might want to think again. Don't update it unless you absolutely have to, because once you update, it's going to force you to try to go to the 64-bit version, and it won't let you go back. So yeah, right. I probably should have just done that. Maybe, I don't know. But I needed to get a decent laptop anyway. So I know I've been wanting to get a better laptop just because this thing doesn't have a lot of storage. And by the time I add all these configurators on there, yeah, I do. I use my cell phone for literally everything, guys. All my editing, most of my B-roll, I all use my cell phone. That's why I went out and got this fancy schmancy Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, which I absolutely love. It's got a 4K camera. I mean, what do I really need to really, I have it with me all the time. It's small, it's compact, it's convenient. I have it with me all the time, so of course I can edit it all the time and all that. But I wanted to put this out there for, a little bit of know-how and a little bit of knowledge. So if you do have a 32-bit version of Windows and you're thinking about upgrading your TBS Crossfire, don't do it. Unless you have a backup, a 64-bit version of Windows, I do not suggest doing it. Because right now, until my laptop comes in, which is supposed to be tomorrow, thank God. I ordered it from Dell. I was able to get like a $100 rebate or something. But I found out from Josh, my good buddy Josh Withrow, make sure you check out his channel if you're watching this. He actually informed me that Dell they do make the computers kind of to order. So like they're not like just sitting on the shelf. So it took a little bit longer than what I was expecting, but still they actually turned it around quicker than I thought. They were estimating I wasn't going to get it till the 20th, and it's scheduled to be here tomorrow. Now, obviously, we may have weather delays with all this snow. I don't even want to say the word, but yeah, we're getting this snow and all these cold fronts and rain and stuff. So hopefully it still gets here tomorrow. Because as of right now, guys, I'm running Crossfire on this. I've got 3 or 4 quads that all have Crossfire, and I can't use them. I can't fly them. I can't do nothing. So I got to an amazing spot, Bot Grinders Bando, an amazing spot, and I was really looking forward to ripping that spot. It's kind of far away from me, not too far from where my girlfriend lives, but still, it's not like it's not a hop, skip, and a jump for me. I got there, I had like 3 quads, and I couldn't get my transmitter to bind to any of my Crossfires. Luckily, I had the iFlight Nazgul, which is running the RXSR. So that was my saving grace. I was able to fly 1 or 2 packs there. But you know me, guys, if I only have 1 quad, I'm flying very safe. I'm not taking any risks. I'm not going to be trying to hit tight gaps and risk, crashing the quad, because if you only have 1 quad and you crash it, you're pretty much done. Hey, what's going on, Ray? So yeah, that goes to explain it, man. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And I thought I was doing something good. I'm thinking, hey, you know what? Let me go ahead and just update this firmware, delete these configurators off my little 32 gigabyte PC over here, this little notebook, and let me go ahead and free up some space. It wasn't worth it, because now I'm only able to fly 1 quad. What I need to do is, once this laptop comes in, I need to go ahead and download, the new TBS Agent X for the 64-bit version of Windows that I'm going to be having. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to go back 2 firmware versions to what I had before, because I wasn't having any issues at all. I've never had a fail-safe. I never had any issue with it binding or connecting to multiple receivers. I've even let my buddies use it, and they've connected to their Crossfire receivers. I've never had an issue. Never had an issue until I updated this firmware. But I'm thinking that the issue probably happened because I was using an outdated and no longer supported version of TBS Agent X on a 32-bit version of Windows. Now, once I updated the firmware on this, I don't know if there was something in the firmware that just didn't cooperate. I don't know if it's a compatibility issue with the firmware of my radio versus this new firmware of this module. But for whatever reason, I mean, it'll come on and the radio will recognize this TX, but for whatever reason, it will not pick up the receiver. I've had the receiver pop up for like maybe half a second, and then it just goes away each and every time. It just disappears. So you can't update it. You can't push the button. It just goes away too fast. So it's definitely an issue with the firmware. I didn't have any of these issues prior to updating that firmware. So, and now I'm having issues with my little tablet here. I don't know what's going on with this thing. I'm going to have to go ahead and, I guess, download a new, whoops, I almost crashed the whole thing. I'm going to have to download a new version of the YouTube here. You know, technology is really good when it works, but when it doesn't work, man, it can really be a pain, can it? But thank God I did have the iFlight Nazgul, so I did have one quad. I do have one quad that I'm able to fly while I'm waiting for this new laptop to come in. So if you are thinking about getting a mid-level, a mid-range laptop, go to Dell, check them out. So the one I'm getting was around $450. So it's not premium and it's not bottom of the barrel. It's got 8 gigabytes of RAM, which I know 16 would have been better, but for the price point, it's hard to find a 16 gig, you know, for that price. This is running 8 gigs of RAM. I'm sorry, 4 gigs of RAM. This thing is running 4 gigs of RAM, and this Dell I just got is 8 gigs, so it's double the RAM. It's 1 terabyte of storage, where this is only 32 gigs of storage, which is like nothing. And it's got some kind of IA5 processor. It's supposed to be pretty decent for the money, I think. And the fact that it's a Dell, you know, I've always liked Dell computers. I feel like they're built pretty solid. And it's nothing flashy or fancy, because I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking for a flashy, fancy computer. I'm looking for something that's going to be, you know, semi-durable, something that's going to be able to handle all these different configurators that I need, you know, when it comes to this hobby. You know, you need your BL Heli, you need your BL Heli 32, you need your Betaflight, you need your Flight 1 if you're running, you know, different types of flight controllers. And by the time you download all these configurators and all these, you know, different things that you need, including these configurators for your Crossfire and your Rapid Fire, you know, you're gonna need some space. So I think this is gonna do the job, and I think it's decent for the price. So definitely happy about that. Let's see if I can go ahead and pull this up again for the third time. It's like it'll stay here and it'll be on the screen, and then it just, like, the app just crashes or something. I don't know. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But yeah, what do you guys think? What kind of computers are you guys using? Are you guys using desktops? Are you using laptops? Are you using SpeedyBee apps? Because I know I don't think is there an app you can use on your phone now for the ESE protocols, like BL Heli Suite? Do they have that now? Does the Lua? It might need to be, John. It may need to be updated. But it's weird because it still picks it up. It still recognizes it. I'm still able to change, like, the settings on the TX, but I can't do anything. It just won't communicate with the receivers. And I've tried, you know, pushing down on the bind button, plugging it in, you know, all that stuff. Holding down on the bind button, you know, plugging it in, holding down on the bind button. I've tried everything. And the receivers go into bind mode, and I can even get this to go into binding mode for a little bit. And then it just quits. It just quits. Let me try to see if I can show you. Maybe that would be kind of fun if I can show you what exactly is going on here. So this is my main quad here. This is my little Rotor Riot Flow that I just bashed the living bejesus out of. This thing is taking quite a beating. Lenovo. Yes, I do like Lenovo. I've heard good things about Lenovo. So yeah, that's a good brand. Let's go ahead and power this guy up, and I'll try to simulate what exactly is going on, okay? So the receiver on this one is actually up front. So it's right behind the camera, if you can see right there. That's where the, yep, Windows 10, exactly. Well, this does have Windows 10 RAS, but it's a 32-bit. And TBS, TBS Agent X no longer supports 32-bit version of Windows, unfortunately. So, you know, they're forcing me to get with the times. Let's go ahead and plug this guy in. All right, so I probably shouldn't have my props on, so shame on me. But you see right there, we've got the green light on, okay, no problem there. And let me try to see if I can simulate this. So I'm going to put this away from my face so I don't, you know, chop my face off. Nobody needs to see that. Of course, I'll probably get a lot more views that way. And let me go ahead and power on the radio here, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. Obviously, my arm switch is off.
Hi, Eric. Welcome back.
And I'm going to try to simulate this so you can see what I've been dealing with. So you can see what I've been dealing with here. So let me go to the flow here. We're going to select the model. All right. So now I've got the flow, okay? But I don't have any green on this, obviously, because it's not by it, right? All right. So now watch what happens if you can see this. I'm gonna try to get this in shot here. All right. So here's the Lua scripts. Okay, it's probably backwards, but there's the crossfire. Okay, and we can see we've got the crossfire Lua, and we have the device. Okay. So let me go ahead and do crossfire and execute. So you see we have the micro TX, okay, but obviously no receiver. Now I go ahead and click on the micro TX, and it brings up all this information. Sorry if this is all backwards, but it's probably my camera. So it's all backwards. Hopefully when this video gets uploaded, it won't be backwards, so it'll help somebody to learn. All right, actually, no, you know what? It is showing up right on here. I'm watching the playback. Good. Okay, so, yeah. All right, so, cool. It is facing the right way. Awesome. So, if you scroll down here to bind, okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and push bind, and it just goes away. You see that? It like goes to the screen, and then it just goes away. It doesn't stay there very long, okay? Now, watch. I can push it and hold in on this button. Or yeah, I might have to push it twice. Man, there it goes. So, I think you push it twice. So, 1, 2. No, maybe not. 1, 2. Maybe just once. All right, we're just going to push it once. I can get this to turn green. Ah, there it goes. See, it's flashing green. But, I mean, nothing is happening on here. Nothing's happening, right? So it's green. It flashes green, okay? But nothing is happening. It's not recognizing the receiver, okay? So let me go ahead and try. So we still have it flashing green. See? Still flashing green. Now let me try to hit the bind on the radio. See if that does. I've tried this before and it didn't do it, so... Maybe, who knows, maybe this will be the... Uh-oh, studio's coming down. Studio's coming down! Studio's coming down! All right, is it still green? Yep, it's still green. So it's still flashing green. So technically it should be in binding mode, right? So let me push down and hold on this button. Let me tilt my camera back around. What do we got going on here? What is all this? What is all this stuff going on here? All right, so... I gotta see where this button's a little hard to find on here. I have to push down on this bind button just as soon as I find it. It's real small. Oh, there it is. It's real small in here. It's right past this connector. Sorry for the heat just kicked on, okay? So I'm using my need to power. Yeah, I've tried that too. I've tried that too. All right, I'm pushing and holding on the bind button, and that didn't do anything. It's still solid green, okay? So let's go ahead and unplug. All right, I'm gonna do it on the table over here, okay? So I'm gonna hold on the bind button and plug it in, but I got to do it over here, okay? So if you can see. We're going to see if we can simulate. All right, here we go. All right, so now I've got a rapid flashing. You see that? It looks slower on camera. That's weird. But it's actually rapidly flashing right now. Okay, it's rapidly flashing. Rapidly flashing. Now we've got the TX. Okay, see that? Let's go ahead and push it again. Now it went back to the yellow, okay? We're still flashing on the receiver. All right, I'm pushing in on the bind button. Okay. Okay, so it's flashing now. But it doesn't work, guys. I'm telling you. Look, I can push the bind and it just goes away. It doesn't recognize the receiver. Cycle power? What do you mean? I already did. It's not normally when I would do this, it would automatically just pull up on the screen. It's just not working. Well, hold this button? I've tried that too. I'll try it. Here we go. I'm gonna hold it. Okay, now it did some kind of weird glow there, right? Now it just isn't doing anything. Back to green again. Okay. I've tried, man. I'm telling you. I can't use TBS Agent because that was what this whole video was about. They don't support 32-bit version of Windows anymore, so I can't use it. I'm holding it. Nothing. See? It goes away. I'll push it. It pops up and then it goes away. I'll hold it. Nothing. See that? I'm telling you, man. I've tried everything, guys. It's just not communicating. Something wrong with this firmware. See? Normally, if I powered up this receiver like it is now, okay, it's still rapidly flashing. The receiver's doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's in binding mode. Okay? When I power that up like that, normally I didn't have to do that. Poke a straightened paperclip into the hole. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. No, guys, the fix is I need to go back 2 firmware versions when I get my new laptop in, because there's something wrong with the firmware. I don't know if there was an error when I flashed it. It should be asking. See, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It should be. I've never even had to push and hold on the bind button on the receiver before. All I had to do was power it up and turn this on, and normally it would recognize it right away, and it would say, update receiver? Yes, yes. And just push the button, and boom, it binded. It was the easiest binding process I've ever seen. And I've tried everything I can think of. This radio will not bind to any of my Crossfire receivers, not just this one. Any of the ones on the wall, same thing. It goes away. It just disappears. So look at that. Look at that. It does not see it. It does not recognize it. You see? So, see that? Yeah, it could be, John. It could be. Going to the 2-vert. Let me unplug this thing because it's just sitting here out putting like 600 milliwatts, getting all hot. I'm going to be frying my VTX. By the way, if you ever try these rush tanks, man, they are absolute beasts. I would get a rush tank over a Unify Pro any day. They have been the most rugged, versatile transmitters. I love them. And this is my go-to transmitter now. I will not go. This is the only transmitter I will buy is Rush. But anyway. So you see where I'm at, guys. The point is, I never had any issues before I updated this firmware. And I know it's... Oh, hold on. Lost model buzzer. Hold on. Hold on. No, I'm just kidding. Alright. No, but really, you should have your props off. Let me turn this lost model buzzer off. One more time. There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, rush tank. Absolutely, Ed. All right, so the moral of this story is, if it's ain't broke, don't fix it. I had no issues with any of my Crossfire module. I had no issue with the module. I had no issue with any of my receivers. They always talked. They always communicated. They always bound. I had no problem using the Lewis scripts. Everything worked until I updated to the newest firmware, which the only reason I did was I was trying to save some space on my computer. I figured, oh, you know, just go ahead and update. I mean, come on. I mean, you guys got to think about it. I mean, nowadays with all these configurators and all these firmwares, you know, it's real easy to just be like, oh, you know, I just need to go ahead and put the newest firmware on here, and that's going to be better. That's going to be best. You know, that's we always tend to think that way. At least I do. A lot of times I'll think, oh, you know, oh, my rapid fire, I have a new firmware update for that. I need to go ahead and do that. And a lot of times, you know, it's not worth it. If your stuff's working great, just don't even bother. Don't even bother updating the firmware if it's working great. I haven't updated my Betaflight on a lot of my rigs till just now, and the only reason I did is because I really wanted to try that RPM filtering. But you know, TX firmware update suggests that RX would. Yes. So normally when you update the TX, you update the RX through the TX. So normally you'll update the receiver after you've updated your transmitter, your TX on your Crossfire. So you update the firmware on this. Then this will, what it's supposed to do is, it's supposed to recognize the receiver and update the receiver over the air. And it does it all through the Lewis scripts. And I've never had an issue with this before, guys. I'd never had the issue until I updated firmware. So like I'm saying, I'm more than certain that once I get my Dell in and I download the TBS Agent X, the 64-bit version of Windows, I will upgrade the firmware back to, I'm go back 2 firmware versions to the firmware that was on it originally. And then I'm going to try it again. And I'm going to do another live or another video, and I'll update you guys and let you know if that worked. Oh, please, please tell me it's going to work. It has to work. It has to work. Did Josh plug in while you... Zing! Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. I gotta... Zing! Josh, you gotta admit, that was pretty funny. If you're still in here. Zing! Now anytime I have a zing, anybody says a zing joke, I'm gonna pop out this little motor. Zing! Oh, God. Have you ever seen these motors? Oh, man. They are super sexy. Look at that. Oh. This is a true story, because I'm going to cut this live here in a little bit. But this is a true story. I've been running the RCX motors on 2 of my quads faithfully for a long time. They're affordable. They have decent bearings. The only issue is the durability. They're not really that durable when you start crashing them, okay? The shafts are fine. It's the aluminum they use in the bells and stuff. So I thought, you know what? Let me go ahead and update my motors. Let me go ahead and get me some Zings. These are some really nice motors here. These are 2207 2750 kV, man. These are some screamers. Beautiful motor. The curved bell, I mean, they're real durable. And the price is really not bad for what you actually are getting. And they have been tried and tested by a lot of people in our community. So, hey, thanks a lot, Baduga. If you need a link for a nice radio. Okay, cool, man. I appreciate that. Now, I'm just going to, I got this computer coming in. I needed to get one anyway. And I'm just going to go back to firmware versions to what I had. And then reflash. And then we're going to try again. And hopefully It'll be just like it was before. It'll pick up the receivers and everything. I'm really hoping that's going to solve it. Anyway, back to the Zing motors. So yeah, I went ahead and got these motors. So I've got enough of these motors to go ahead and swap out all these RCXs on both of my quads, right? Ever since I bought these motors, I've not broke not one RCX. Isn't that the way it works? You get something new, and you're like, okay, well, when this fails, this is going to be replacing it. Now these RCXs are going to last forever, which I'm fine with. I mean, they fly great. I don't have an issue with the way they fly. It's just with the durability. After a couple hard impacts, they tend to crap out on me. But that's just a funny story, I told somebody, I said, watch, now that I bought these Zing motors and I have them all ready to go, now watch, these RCXs will last forever, and I'm fine with that. They'll be sitting here waiting till the day and time when they need to be replaced. So, but I tell you what, I'm probably gonna end up doing anyway is I'm probably gonna go ahead and just swap out one of my quads with the 4 Zings, and then I'll have a whole backup set of RCXs for the other quads. So that's probably what I'll end up doing, because that's what I'm gonna have to do anyway. Because once one of the RCX motors goes up, I'm gonna have to replace one whole quad with the Zings anyway. So that's what I'm probably gonna end up doing in my free time. But thanks so much, guys, for stopping in. Please like, share, and subscribe. I've got more content coming on the channel, so stay tuned for that. And if you got any questions about anything we've talked about on this live stream, put it down in the comments. Later on, I'll make sure I get back to them, check them out, and see if I can help you answer any questions. Absolutely, I can't wait to see how these things fly. I'm excited. I might even get these daggone Zings on here soon. Real soon. But I'm going to go ahead and end this live stream, but it's been a really productive stream, and hopefully, you guys will learn something from my mistakes. And if you are thinking about updating your TBS Crossfire micro module or your regular module, and you are running a 32-bit version of Windows, you might want to just hold off until you get a 64-bit version, because TBS no longer supports 32-bit version of Windows. And I can't say I blame them, because 32-bit's kind of slowly just going away. But thanks so much, guys. Till next time, E-Drone out. Yeah.